What's going on, boys and girls? It is a glorious sunny Sunday here in Melbourne, Australia. Arsenal won. I'm going to the beach today. I should be absolutely over the moon and feeling very, very happy right now, but I'm not. I don't know what Arsenal are doing right now, but I'm starting to get a little bit worried. If you look at the face value of it, if you don't dig below the surface and you just look at last night, Brighton win. Crystal Palace at home, win. Everton away, win. Wolves at home, win. Yes, we're collecting the 3 points. And a lot of people will tell you that that's all that matters. And that's what champions do. When they're not playing well, they win, they find a way. And I agree with that to some level of context. But I'm starting to get concerned by these performances. Yes, Arsenal ran out 2-1 winners at home to Brighton. But that is another game where I'm sitting there with 20 minutes to play, stressed out of my eyeballs, biting my fingernails, and watching an Arsenal team at home essentially try and hold out for a narrow win. And I just don't think this is sustainable. I don't think this is how we go on to win the Premier League. And don't get me wrong, I know once again there's some context to this match, as there always is with every match. You know, we go into this game with no Timber, which is a huge loss when you factor in the fact that Ben White is already missing, so we have no natural right back. Calafiori gets injured in the warm-up, and so Lewis Skelly starts at left back, and we have to revert to Saliba and Capier. And obviously Declan Rice comes in at right back, which I never had an issue with because I knew he would do a top job there, but you remove Rice from the centre of the park, which is where he is ultimately most effective. In terms of the starting 11, it was pretty much what I imagined it was going to be, outside of that whole Calafiori-Timber issue. I didn't realise Timber had picked up a knock in the last game. I don't know how bad it is. I haven't read Arteta's post-match comments, so I don't know if that was just precautionary or if he's going to be out now. If he is, that is a huge loss. Because I think against Aston Villa in a couple of days, we can't play like this and beat Aston Villa. And we have to beat Aston Villa, not only because of what Man City are doing, but because of what Aston Villa are doing. So I'm really hoping that Timber will be right for Tuesday night. Calafiori, another big miss. I thought he looked really good in central defence alongside Saliba in the Carabao Cup. And I think Lewis Skelly today, it wasn't a terrible performance, but he's just not the same as he was last season, which is to be expected. And I also think Calafiori is just playing to a different level right now. I think Calafiori is on such a confident level within himself that he's just operating at a different level to what Lewis Skelly is right now. So that is a bit of a downgrade right now. This game for me comes back to the same old situation with Arsenal, which is dominating the game, all in all, creating a level of either goal-scoring chances or opportunities to create goal-scoring opportunities, and just not being good enough in that final moment, whether it be the final pass or the actual attempt on goal. Gyökeres, I need to talk about Gyökeres. I've been biting my tongue on him for a while now, and I really wanted to pay attention to him, particularly in this first half. I really wanted to kind of focus in on him, and it didn't take long for me to be sitting there going, what am I watching? I think it was within the first 3 or 4 minutes, Trossard loops a high floating, inviting ball into the kind of centre of the field. Dunk lets it bounce. Gyökeres gets his body in between Dunk and the ball, and you're expecting him to kind of control it, drive forward and lash a shot either right or left to the goalkeeper. And instead, all he does is just kind of side foot it straight at the goalkeeper, almost like he had no idea what he was trying to do. And the more and more I watched of Gyökeres, yes, he's strong. Yes, his link-up play is okay. But as soon as you ask him to try and control that ball and do something technical with his feet, it's just, he's got nothing. He doesn't seem to have any sort of close ball control, which means he can't hold on to the ball and pick a pass or create a moment for himself. He just looks so incredibly clumsy on the ball. And then when he gets in front of goal, when he gets himself in a goal-scoring position, he doesn't look lethal. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. And it's a real concern. And I've watched him now for a while. Arsenal have played 20 plus games. And I know he didn't have a preseason. I know he's getting used to a new league, a new team, and he's had some injuries. But I am just not seeing enough to think this guy's got what we need him to have. I'm not seeing it. And that's really concerning, because although I didn't prescribe to the whole he was the final missing piece, I was expecting him to come in and bag 20 goals this season, which I thought would be a needle mover. And I'm just really concerned by him. I can't lie anymore. I'm not seeing anything that's of a level where I'm like, this guy's the answer, or even remotely the answer. And I honestly think once Havertz is back, fit, ready to play, I think he will take Gyökeres's position quite easily. Look, I watched this game at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I can't really remember the ins and outs of it. I thought we started quite well. I thought Odegaard looked lively in this game. The only thing I'll say about Odegaard that drives me insane is whenever there is a 50-50 moment, he never wins that 50-50. If anything, he pulls out of 50-50 opportunities. He's always been like that, but I think particularly from those early injuries this season, he looks incredibly shy to kind of get stuck into a 50-50 opportunity. And that, for me, there was a lot of moments where in and around the middle of the field, because he chooses not to engage in that 50-50, Brighton win the ball too easily and kind of counter-attack us. And that was something I picked up today. But apart from that, I thought he played well. He looked lively, put some good passes together. He looked to control the game. He got a really good goal early in the game, around 15 minutes. Saka to him just outside the box. Low strike to the bottom right corner. Really great effort. What you want to see more of Odegaard doing. He's got it in his locker. I know he tries it, but sometimes he's just too slow to get that shot off. So you go 1-0 up with inside 15 minutes. You're thinking, right, let's put a performance together here. We get to half-time. It's 1-0. We've created quite a few chances. And again, you're sitting there going, Jesus, this is another game where we're at home. We've had majority of the ball. We've created some chances. And once again, we just haven't put that second goal in the back of the net to alleviate the pressure. We then go in to the second half, another own goal, a Declan Rice corner. It wasn't the greatest of corners. I don't know what that Brighton player was doing, but he tries to get his head to the ball, flicks it on, goes into the net, and we go 2-0 up. And you're thinking, right, plain sailing from here. I predicted a comfortable 2-0 win, and that's what it was looking like we were going to get. And then, as we've seen from Arsenal time and time again in recent matches, I wouldn't say that we sat back, but we just lost control of that game again. You know, at 2-0, that's where you want to see us kind of grab control of a match. And we just seem to be doing the opposite right now. Brighton get a goal out of nothing. You know, that's another example of what I'm saying. Arsenal, by the time Brighton got that goal, we'd had about 17 shots on goal. Now, I know not all of them were on target, but Brighton all of a sudden, out of nowhere, second or third chance, goal, back of the net, and all of a sudden it's 2-1 and the game becomes really nervy. And that's where we really started to kind of lose our heads a little bit. I thought Brighton really kind of took over once it went 2-1. And I just felt like we were holding on, if I'm being honest. Yes, we had some chances because Brighton were trying to find the equaliser. And again, we just couldn't finish our dinner. Martinelli, that Saka cross into Martinelli, that is a perfect example of where Arsenal are at right now. That has to be a goal. That has to be a goal. I watched it 2-3 times. I thought Martinelli might have had a challenge from the defender. I might have thought there might have been a push, a deflection. But that is Martinelli, one-on-one. All he's got to do is keep that low and it goes in the net. And he blazes it over from about 2-3 yards. And a terrible miss. And again, it just means that once again, we're there having to defend a 1-goal lead. And you've got Gabriel Jesus in the corner trying to hold off the defenders, trying to waste time. In the 88th minute, I believe it was, we got a corner. And this was a good example of Arsenal just not really looking to understand the situation. It's about 88 minutes in. We get a corner. And you can see the Arsenal players, normally they're crowding the back post and we're going to try and score a goal from a corner. In this instance, we had like 2 players in the box. Jesus was kind of awkwardly walking towards Saka, expecting that he was going to get the ball and try and waste, 30, 40 seconds in the corner flag. And all of a sudden, Saka just fires the ball into the box and the goalkeeper collects it and Brighton go on the attack again. And I just looked around and I'm like, what is going on here right now? Like, what are we doing? It just felt like none of the players on the field knew how to handle that situation. And so, yeah, look, like I said, we got the win 2-1 against a tricky customer in Brighton. But that was a game where we had so many openings, so much space due to the fact Brighton were trying to play their football as you knew that they were going to do. We need to be scoring 3 or 4 goals in a game like that, where Brighton are trying to play against us. They're trying to be bold. They're trying to be creative, trying to press. You know, we have to be getting 3 or 4 goals in that game. And that game should have been dead after 65, 70 minutes. Instead, we're holding on to a nervy 2-1 win at home. And it's just not, I just don't see how we can continue this. Manchester City, I watched the first half of that. I thought Forest did really well in that first half, but you've got to give City credit. They found a way to get the win away to a Forest side that played quite well. Aston Villa have beaten Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, which is a massive result. That's their 11th win on the bounce. So now all of a sudden, this game on Tuesday at home to Villa is a massive, massive game. As I said at the beginning, not just because of what City are doing, but because of the fact that if Villa go on to win that puts them right up against us. I don't know if that puts them level on points with us or 1 point behind, but I'll talk about the Villa game in the next video. But focusing back on this one, in terms of star players, Raya had some unbelievable saves. That save against Minter in the second half to keep it at 2-1. If that goes in, that game finishes 2-2. So I put this win down to Raya. That was an incredible save. I thought Saliba all in all looked pretty good. Declan Rice did his job, but I don't really want to see him at right back. Who else? I thought Saka had his defender on toast, and that's again what I'm saying. With a game like this, Saka he either needs to produce a goal for himself or he needs to find an assist. That he had that too easy on that side, and he should have done more from that. I thought Odegaard did well, but apart from that, I'm not really kind of looking at any particular performances and thinking anyone did amazingly well. I thought Lewis Skelly looked average. I thought Marino didn't do a lot. I thought Gyökeres looked average. I thought Trossard had one of his poorer games. I think whenever Trossard plays against Brighton, he's so keen to play well, score a goal, and kind of inflict a bit of misery and pain on his old side because he cops a bit of grief from the Brighton fans. But I think he just overthinks it and overplays it. He had a few good, moments. There was one moment in the second half, I believe, where he spun the Brighton defender about 3 or 4 times with these little chop backs. But all in all, no real end product to Trossard today. So, look, it wasn't a great performance, and we've been saying that for a while now. So these performances need to change. We need to start playing better, and we need to start scoring more goals. And the simple truth is we're not as defensively as solid as we were at the beginning part of the season. So we are now conceding a goal a game pretty regularly, which means we need to be scoring a minimum of 2 to be winning games. And right now, I'm not seeing us look like we're going to score 2 goals. This game was another game where there was an own goal. That's 4 own goals in our last 3 home games. So you just can't keep that up. So, yeah, look, I'm really hoping that the Timber injury and the Calafiori injury is not big, and they'll be back for Aston Villa. It was great to see Gabby get on and play some minutes. I didn't expect him to play in this game, if I'm being honest, but the fact that he got some minutes means that he might be a chance to start against Villa. I'd be surprised if he did, given how big the game is. I don't know if he'll be quite up to starting a match of that magnitude, but look, worrying signs, needs to improve, but it's another win in the books and we stay top. So for now, I'm going to focus on the positive. I've made note of the things that concern me, and let's look forward to a massive, massive, massive match on Tuesday night against Aston Villa, which I will preview in another video. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.